Do you want to know the secret to serving your Medicare clients at the highest level while warp speeding your way to 6 figures in your Medicare business? Then you need to watch the next 30 to 35 minutes, because I'm going to break down for you the secrets of cross-selling, or what I call bundling on purpose, that's going to help you protect your client at the highest level, as well as allow you to make 6 figures within your first year in the Medicare industry. Before I dive into my presentation today, I want to share with you a couple of things that you need to be made aware of, because if you don't know these things and you try to cross-sell, then you're ultimately going to sabotage your success. Number one is you need to get your mindset right. I like to say it this way, that identity always precedes activity. Well, I can show you the activity, what all activities to do to cross-sell to high level. It's not going to do any good if you first don't change the internal. Let me ask you this. How many of you would say you want to serve your clients at the highest level? I want you to raise your hand if that's you. Now, I can't see you and you can't see me, but I want you to raise your hand if you say, yes, I'm an advisor who wants to serve my clients at the highest level. Yes, we all do. Well, what if I told you that serving your clients at the highest level would require you getting your PhD in cross-selling? Why? Because the more that you can protect your clients, the better it's going to be for them, and the better it's going to be for you. And then it's been statistically proven that the more applications or the more plans you have in a client's home, the higher the stickability rate. So because they trust you. And the final thing that I'll say when it comes to mindset is, one of the things that I often hear from agents that kind of give me some blowback on cross-selling is they say, well, I don't want to appear to be salesy. Now, newsflash, we're in the sales industry, but I get what they're saying. So I always tell people, instead of thinking it as being salesy, think of yourself as being a servant. Right? You already said that you want to serve your clients at the highest level. So what's it going to take for you to do that? Cross-selling, protecting them. That is serving them. So instead of salesy, think of, I'm a servant and I want to serve my clients. Number 2 is your demo matters. You are not going to cross-sell at a high level if you're strictly or only dealing with the lower income demo. This is what we call your dual special needs clients, or your LIS, which stands for low income subsidy clients. They are just not going to have the extra money to be able to get multiple applications, and you don't want to force applications on people, A, because it's a crappy thing to do, but B, it's because you're going to get chargebacks if they can't afford them. So you always want to serve them apps or plans that are going to take care of the needs and concerns that they have within their budget. So your demo matters, and you're going to see people cross-selling at a higher level that are doing webinars or in-person seminars more than those that maybe are doing food pantries or going where more low-income people reside. Number 3 is consistency. You got to be consistently cross-selling. You got to be consistently asking. You got to consistently let everybody that you sit down with know that you offer other plans. You are the Medicare expert, and people go in the direction that you lead them. So you got to be consistent in this, because if you're just doing it every once in a while, then you're really not going to ever become efficient at cross-selling. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, the reason I don't cross-sell is because I lack the confidence in doing so. And let me just say this. If you're consistent long enough, then your competence will grow. And as your competence will grow, then your confidence will grow. But sometimes you got to put the first foot forward and just be consistent, and let your confidence catch up later. So don't let the desire to, well, I don't know anything or I must know everything, be the enemy of you taking any action at all. Finally, when it comes to being consistent, I would recommend using a tool. Find a tool, find a system that you can utilize to help you stay on track and help you be more efficient, because the more clear that you can be and the less confusion that or the less confusing that you are, the more clarity you're going to project onto your client, or the more clear you're going to be to your client. By using a tool, it will allow you to be more clear, right, and cut down on the confusion, which will increase your cross-sale efficiency. So find a system, find a tool that you can utilize. All right, let's dive into a cross-selling presentation that's specifically going to deal with staying on original Medicare and a supplement, a dental and vision plan, and a lump sum cancer policy plan. Remember, if you are giving Medicare presentations or talking to clients that are going to be 65, you must talk about the Medicare Advantage and the Medicare supplement. You must make sure that you have your scope done. And so this presentation is going to bypass a lot of that first part of that presentation and get right to the nuts and bolts. All right, once again, I'm going to fast forward into the presentation where I've already talked to them about the differences between a Medicare Advantage, option 1, and they're staying on original Medicare with a supplement drug plan and any other ancillary plan, option 2, and they have chosen to go with option 2. So, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I want to say thank you so much once again, for allowing me to help you with your Medicare needs. What I've done is I put a little form together here for us today that we'll write notes on, and everything that we talk about will be on this form, and I'm going to give you this form to take home with you today, so that way you have a better understanding of what we enrolled you today. Now, when we talked about option number 1, Medicare Advantage, also known as a Part C plan, or option number 2, stay on original Medicare with a drug plan, a supplement plan, and any other plan, you said that option number 2 was going to be the better fit for you, and this was the desired direction that you wanted to go. So I call this the full coverage direction. It's going to give you the freedom and flexibility to go to any hospital, any doctor, any provider that takes Medicare, which is really almost anywhere across the country. Now, the Part A deductible for 2026 is $1,736. I'm going to write that here. That is per benefit period. Your Part B deductible for this year, 2026, is $283. And then your Part B premium, that's the amount that comes out of your Social Security if you're going on Social Security, or you pay that quarterly if you're not, that is $202.90. So there are 4 main gaps that I want to talk to you about when it comes to Medicare. Your Medicare, your red, white, and blue card that you see here on this form, is going to cover 80% of your medical bills, and it's going to leave you, the Medicare beneficiary, with the remaining 20%. And the scary part about that is there is no cap or limit on that 20%. So that is a major gap that we have to fill, and this is why we need to look at getting a Medicare supplement plan, also known as a Medigap plan. Now, the most popular plan is the Plan G, and that covers everything. The Part A deductible, it covers the 20% that's left over, and the only thing it doesn't cover is the Part B deductible, which once again is $202.90. So it will pay the remaining 20%, while your Medicare will pay the 80%. Now, once again, the good news is it gives me the freedom and flexibility to go pretty much anywhere I want to go. And because I'm a broker and advisor, which means that I work with pretty much all the carriers in our area, it allows me to get you the best possible rates for your Plan G, because they are standardized. They all have the same benefits. So there's no reason to pay $20 to $40 to $60 more per month with Company A, that you can get the exact same benefits and it's going to pay the same, and it's less with Company B. Now, I have a little tool here that I'm going to utilize, and I'm going to put all your information in here, and it's going to tell me which is going to be the lowest premium supplement plan for you. Now, let me pause here for a minute. We use a tool called CSG to look that up, And the lowest premium is not always the best. You do want to check things like market analytics, meaning do they have a history of increasing the yearly rates significantly? If they do, then you may want to find a carrier who doesn't have a history of raising their rates so high. Okay, that's one thing you want to look at for sure. All right, so Mr. and Mrs. Jones, it looks like here the best situation for you is going to be with company fill in the blank. That's going to be different across the country. Okay, so with company A, it looks like your premium is going to be this much. Now, I'm filling out the form as I'm walking along with the clients, right? So I'm going to put the carrier name, I'm going to put the plan letter name, I'm going to put the premium name, the premium amount plus the one-time application fee. In my neck of the woods, it's $6. In other places, it's like $25. So you want to make sure that you put that in your notes there, because I promise you, they're going to call you when they turn 65 and they get that draft and they go, wait a minute, I thought it was going to be this amount and now it's this amount plus this. So make sure you cover all of your bases, dot all of your I's, cross all of your T's, and do this right the first time. So it looks like Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Company A, Plan G, this is the premium amount with your one-time application fee is going to be the best situation for you. So this is filling in the first gap. Are there any questions about this Plan G and your Medicare before I move on to gap number 2? All right, great. So let's move on to gap number 2. That is your prescription drug plan, or what's known as your Medicare Part D. The main thing we want to be concerned about here is we want to make sure that we find a drug plan that covers all of your medicines and that they're in the specific plan's formulary. Another thing that we want to be aware of is that the average deductible for most drug plans this year is going to be $615. Now, I have a tool here that when I put in your medicines, it's going to let me know if any of those medicines trigger the deductible. If they all are tier 1, tier 2, we won't have any issues at all. But in most cases, tier 3 and above are going to trigger that deductible. So we're going to put the drugs into this tool, just like I did with your Medigap plan. I have a different tool that I utilize for this. I put in all of your criteria, and it's going to tell me which Part D plan is going to cover your medicines the best, as well as which one's going to be the best for us premium-wise. Another thing I'll mention here is that your Part D plan has a $2,100 max out-of-pocket. So once you reach that $2,100 max out-of-pocket for 2026, all of your drugs will be zero. Now, one thing that I want to make a mention here as well is from time to time, this is mainly for new agents, from time to time, you're going to get people that say, well, I don't take any medicines. Or I take 1 or 2 medicines and I can go down here to Kroger, Publix, wherever, and I can get them cash money for hardly anything. And I always tell them, well, that may be true. Medicare will penalize you for not getting a Part D plan. So let's put you at least on the lowest Part D plan to keep you out of that lifelong penalty. And guys, 2026, the lowest drug plan in most areas is like zero. There's no premium attached to it. All right. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, it looks like after I put in all of your information that this specific carrier for this specific premium is going to be your best situation. And here's the good news. The good news is you do not take any medicines that trigger the deductible. So one thing that we always advise people that we work with is to make sure you don't get on anything name brand, because it's going to trigger that deductible. Always ask the doctor if you're able to take a generic or if there's a generic available. If there isn't, then we do have some other solutions that we can talk about at that specific time. All right, we've looked at gap number 1, which is the Medicare supplement plan. We talked about the Plan G. We looked at your Part D prescription plan. We put in all of your medications, and it looks like this specific carrier is going to be the best for this specific premium. Are there any questions before I move on to gaps 3 and 4? Okay, well, great. Well, the third gap I want to talk to you about is dental, vision, and hearing, because Medicare does not cover any of these routine or basic or major services. Now, I notice that you have glasses on today. What type of vision and dental coverage do you currently have? Now, time out. I never ask, do you want dental, vision, and hearing insurance? I always ask them and assume that they currently have coverage. And if they have glasses on, then I'm assuming they have some type of vision coverage. So I'm going to say once again, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what type of dental and vision coverage do you currently have? I'm also going to ask questions like, what do you like most about that plan? What do you like least about that plan? And they will tell you, right? Because in my mind, I'm working with about 5 to 7 carriers, and I know that based on the answers they're giving me, I'm going to curate that dental and vision plan for them, or I'm going to make sure that it's going to address, their specific needs. So once again, we're never going to ask them, do they want it? We're going to ask them, what type do they have, right? And a lot of them will tell you their deductible if you ask them what type of deductible, or what does it cover well, what doesn't cover well. Well, we like to use 2 carriers here, Emeritus or Physicians Mutual, because we have the least customer service issues out of all the different carriers. Now, you can use whatever carrier you want, and sometimes I see agents go for something that pays them more, but it's going to come back to bite them in the rear end in the long run, because you're going to have tons of customer service issues that's going to bog you down, and you're going to have people that are going to get very upset and ultimately cancel those applications. So it's better for you to find a plan, even if it doesn't pay you very well, that takes care of the client. Because remember, our ultimate goal is to serve our clients at the highest level. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, based on what you've told me, it looks like Company A, whether that's Physicians Mutual or whoever you're using, right, is going to be the best fit for you for this amount of premium. Now, the thing I need you to understand is that certain plans are going to give you immediate coverage. Okay. However, they're not going to pay as much on basic and major services. And then some are not going to give you coverage on anything major for at least 1 year. And then there are some plans, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, that will waive the 1-year waiting period. However, you must be coming off of current coverage. But some of those plans are not true insurance plans. The 2 that I'm quoting you today are true dental insurance plans, not discount plans, and we have the least amount of trouble with these specific carriers. So you want to find out which carriers, agents, I'm breaking role playing here, you'll want to find out which carriers in your area are going to work the best for you and for your clients, okay? So once I explain this, I write down the premium. Now, with Physicians Mutual, they give you 4 different rates. So I'll usually write down the 4 different rates, and I'll say something like, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, as it stands right now, which one of these plans best fits your budget? And then I don't say anything. I let them decide, and then I circle it. Now, this whole time, I'm writing the premium out in the Medigap section. I'm writing the premium out in the prescription Part D section. And now I'm going to write the premium here in the dental, vision, or hearing section. See, this tool is allowing me to be consistent and to be clear. And remember, the more clear that I am, the less confusion that I cause, right? And the more cross-selling I will do. And I'm not chasing a lot of rabbits. I'm staying on script. So don't try to wing it. If there's one piece of advice I can give you, is don't be that agent that tries to wing it, because I promise you, you will create more confusion, and it's going to hurt your cross-selling efficiency. All right. So Mr. and Ms. Jones, we've talked about gap number 1, gap number 2, gap number 3. Now let's move over to gap number 4, and that is what's known as a lump sum cancer policy. Now, the reason that I bring this up is not because you're going to need any more help from a treatment standpoint, meaning my Medigap and my Medicare A and B is going to cover me if I go into the hospital, if I go see a doctor, or for any treatments that are covered under Medicare. However, where we see a lot of our Medicare clients run into some issues is in 2 main areas. Number 1 is that 54% of all cancer-related costs are non-medical. I'll give you an example. I can't tell you how many clients I've talked to that have went through chemotherapy and have lost a whole bunch of weight and had to go buy a whole new wardrobe. Who pays for that? Not Medicare, You would have to pay for that. I talked to clients of mine that wanted to go get second or third opinions, and they had to travel to different states to get those opinions. Well, who pays for the plane tickets or the car rides? Who pays for the hotel rooms? Who pays for the groceries or the food that they're getting while they're out of town? Well, Medicare's not going to pay for that. You're going to have to pay for that. So by having a lump sum cancer policy that pays you tax-free, puts this cash in your budget and allows you to tackle these miscellaneous costs, because I promise you they're going to arise if you get diagnosed with cancer. Now, the other thing you need to be made aware of here is 77% of all cancers are diagnosed ages 55 and older. This is why when I'm sitting down with my Medicare clients that I bring this up, because I see the good, the bad, and the ugly daily in what I do. And there's nothing more horrifying than being diagnosed with cancer, right? And then all the extra miscellaneous costs that come with it can be a heavy burden while you're already walking through something severe as this. Number two is if you get put on some specialty oral chemo drug, it's just not going to be covered well, if at all, on your Part D plan. Now, there are grants and programs that you could qualify for, but what do you do in the meantime if you can't qualify for something like that immediately? Well, most of my clients tell me they don't have $5,000 or $10,000 or more dollars just laying around to put towards medications that they need to get the treatment they need to get better. Well, by having a lump sum cancer policy in place, it's going to allow you to pay for these medications, so that way it's not a bigger burden on your budget. And here's the best news of all. You can add something like this for around $1 per day. So for around $30 per month, you can add this extra protection, fill in this fourth gap, and give you better peace of mind. And then what I'm going to do, agents, is I'm going to go through and add everything up, and I'm going to write it in the total. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, this is what you're looking at for you to have full coverage insurance and peace of mind. So whether I'm doing a meeting over Google or Zoom, I'm sending them this PDF in advance or during our meeting, or if I'm talking to them over the phone, I'm either texting or emailing them this PDF so they can follow along, right? Or if they're in person, we've made all of these notes and I'm going to slide it over to them. And once I give them that number, I'm just going to be quiet, right? I'm going to let them think about it and marinate on it, and then I'm going to let them ask me any questions. Now, one thing I want to make a little quick side note here is we're not in the timeshare business. We're not locking the doors and headlocking people into plans. We are serving our clients, right? We're servant advisors. And so my job is to give them full coverage, give them the best peace of mind possible, fill in as many gaps, and then I'm going to let them decide. And what's going to happen is one or three things is going to happen. Number one is they're going to say, hey, I'll take it. This is what I want. Right? And this is where I go directly into getting the information I need and putting in their applications. Number two, they're going to say, hey, something like, I don't know if that's in my budget or not. And I'm usually going to respond with, okay, well, this is the full coverage. This is what we talked about early on. But as it stands right now, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, which of these plans are the most important to you right now that address all of the needs and concerns that you have? I may say something like that, and then they'll usually tell me, well, you know what? I feel like obviously I need the Medigap and I need the prescription drug plan, which they do. But then they'll say something like, well, we really need dental and vision, but we're going to hold off on the cancer plan. And I may say something like, well, I totally understand that. Just remember, if down the road you do get diagnosed with cancer, I can't go back and put you on the plan. That's about as hardcore as I get, guys, because once again, I'm not in the timeshare business, right? If I do my job correctly and I'm serving them this, I'm usually going to have a really high attachment rate because I've addressed their needs and concerns. But even if they say, I just want the Medigap plan, the prescription drug plan, and the dental and vision plan, that's okay. And we're going to move on. And then I'm going to make a note to maybe follow up with them a few months down the road and, ask them again. Hey, Mr. and Miss Jones, just wanted to follow up with you to ask you about that lump sum cancer policy we talked about. I can't tell you how many follow-ups like that have resulted me in adding that down the road. Remember, a lot of your clients are very overwhelmed, if not all of them, because Medicare has a lot of moving parts and it's very overwhelming. So sometimes when you're talking to them over the phone or by Zoom or, in person, a lot of times they just may be overwhelmed at times. Even while you're doing your best to bring clarity, it is very overwhelming. And now that they've had a little time to breathe, they may be more willing to get this extra plan down the road. So don't make sure to make a follow-up if there's a plan they don't take for whatever reason. So I don't go into talking more, right? Let me make a side note here at the very end. Once I give them that number, don't be the agent that TMIs. A lot of agents start rambling and TMI their clients to death and wind up causing more confusion, right? Or wind up causing more anxiousness. And they're just, they're informing them too much, and it's just too much information for that one setting. So don't TMI. Just be the agent that's clear, that's concise. Let them make the decision, and then you move on to the second phase, and that is putting the applications in for them. Now, one last thing that I'll make a mention of that I don't have here on the form is in our specific agency, and it's allowed us to make multiple six figures and even become a seven-figure agency in the past. It's actually going into year 4, is the retirement piece. Our FMO has a one-of-a-kind retirement program, and that is with the Elevate program. And the Elevate program allows us to bring up retirement in our conversations and then allow our retirement team to do the rest. This is a huge component to cross-selling in our agency and with our agents, and allows us to bring in even more money to our agency and impact and serve our clients at even a higher level. Well, I hope you got tons of value out of today's video. Will you do me a favor? Click the like button below, subscribe, comment. If there's something else that you want me to address that I didn't address in this specific video, then I'll make more videos in cross-selling to help many of you first-year agents even more. And if you're looking to master Medicare dinner seminars, then go watch this video here.